Hello, hello. Live here with Lore Builds as we prepare for Illinois Comic Con. How are you doing this evening?
Good. I'm excited to be here and excited to talk about all the good stuff coming to Peoria.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to chat. But before we get too deep into what's going on at Illinois Comic Con in Peoria, let's just chat about you and your journey to where you are now. Obviously, as one of the guest cosplayers, cosplay has been a big part of your career here in the convention world. So, how did cosplay start for you? How did you get into this wonderfully exciting world?
Man, it's so funny. I actually started really outside of the cosplay scene. I've been doing this for about 9.5 years now, and it all kind of started when my boyfriend at the time, who was a big Kotaku reader, was like, "Hey, there's this guy
Mhm.
Mineral Blue who makes these cosplay videos. You should check this out." And I started watching them, and I was like, "Oh my God." And at the time, I was reading a lot of comic books. I was reading DC Bombshell specifically, and Hot Topic put out like a licensed line, and it had like the Wonder Woman shirt and the shorts. And the same boyfriend was like, "You should probably buy those." And I wore them to Free Comic Book Day, and like I had so much fun. I got bit by the bug immediately. And then not too long thereafter, I got connected with some local guys who did a lot of charity work for like local St. Jude kids. And it just kind of escalated to there. I didn't go to my first convention for like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Just all doing like local charity cosplay stuff. There was one year I think I did like 10 or 12 different events, and none of them were conventions.
Really?
Um, yeah. Because there was just so many good opportunities in our town, and it's so fun. It's so rewarding. Obviously, I'm still doing it 9 years later. Um, but then I finally got to go to my first convention with some members of the 501st and see it from that perspective. And then my second convention was C2E2 2020, and I got to see like the Crown World Finals live. And like, if the deal hadn't already been incredibly sealed, like that was it. I was done.
I mean, hanging out with the 501st and then going to the Crown Championships all within like the same year, that will get anybody excited to start doing cosplay. So yeah, definitely quite an entrance. So
Mhm.
that's awesome that you started with charity. Like you hear about a lot of
Yeah.
cosplayers obviously doing the charity side of things, but not a lot of them start there. So that's super cool.
It's so fun. I was really lucky to have a good group of guys who it was as like that first big wave of like the Marvel movies were coming
Oh,
out, and we
okay,
had a
yeah.
movie. Yeah, we had a movie theater that was great about letting us show up to that too. And I was always like the one girl, and all the moms would be like, "Thank you so much for being
Oh,
here." So that my and I was like, "Oh man, now I have to, right? Like
right,
I have to keep showing up."
right. Like I'm invested now.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, one thing in looking at, your profiles and everything that you do is you actually work on we as cosplayers, you always think of being in front of the camera and being the model and being, the center of the photo shoot, but you've also worked on the other side of the camera. You've been the photographer. So how did that transition come? Did that come before the cosplay or did you start in tandem? How did that come together?
Definitely in tandem. I've been a photographer since I've been working professionally since like college. I've
Oh,
been
okay.
doing weddings for over a decade. And so it's honestly weird to be on the other side for me still. Like I'm still figuring out my posing and stuff. But with having shot a handful of sessions or however many with cosplayers specifically, and with having seen my own and like little things, it's like, oh, I wish I would have caught that, da da da. It makes me more aware of how my armor looks on camera.
Sure.
And like even just this past weekend, like one of my friends was debuting a new costume. I was like, hey, you need to point your foot like this, not this, and that's gonna, make more sense for the character. But it's a lot of fun because it does help me think about what I look for in photos of my character to help portray like the story, the setting, the vibe. Because whenever I end up working with a cosplayer and I don't kind of know the character, like let's say it's like a big group shoot and I don't know who's
Mhm.
showing up, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't you is this a happy character, a sad character? Did these two characters like each other? And so it's just cool to get to see both sides and use the skills from both sides to continue building the skills, So
That's awesome. So yeah, you can take your skills from one side and put it to the other.
yeah, and like, knowing what I would want my costume to present, like I can say, oh, adjust your prop or whatever. And then it makes me more aware of it also when I'm in front of the camera. Like I just did a
Sure.
shoot about a week ago and I had a sword. And so I kept asking the photographer, like, is the light hitting it the right way? Like, so stuff like that. And it does help.
And that's crazy coming from the wedding world where everything is so fast paced and like you have to be
Mhm.
there, there, there. I've had three out of state weddings this year, so I've witnessed a lot of just in the past years. So you kind of went from one crazy world to another, jumping from that to cosplay photography.
It's so much more fun. Like when I was in school for photography,
Mhm.
I realized very quickly that I liked the more run and gun and fast pace because it makes you think on your feet
Right.
and it's just so much more immersive and kind of like once your skill is high enough, you're not thinking about the camera anymore. It becomes a bit of a flow state almost, and then you're just like there present, but from a completely different perspective.
That's yeah, that's funny. And like going around conventions when I'm doing media conventions, it's kind of the same thing. You're running and gunning, you're thinking on your feet, like you don't have the time, like what we're doing now. Like I had all the time in the world basically to research and
Right.
prepare. Sometimes it's just like, hey, no, you got 2 minutes, you better figure this out. So
Yeah, and then you do and you nail it, and at the end of the day, you're gassed, but you know you have like the best shots, and it's so good
it's yeah, there's no feeling like it into like it's hard to describe it to someone who's not in that world, but you just feel so accomplished at the end.
for sure.
So, but speaking of cosplay characters, so one of your cosplays is Jesse from Final Fantasy VII. Is Final Fantasy safe to say one of your favorite gaming franchises?
Oh man, so I'm actually still working on her. I don't have her done quite yet, but
Uh,
I've wanted to build it for so long. I'm actually kind of weird when it comes to video games. I didn't grow up with any consoles, and so I can't really play myself. I've finished about two video games myself. But from being in cosplay world, I then
yep.
see these really cool characters and I go, "Oh, hey, what's this?" And then I'll go to my boyfriend and be like, "Hey, can you play this video game and I can watch all the cutscenes?" Because like I want to understand the story
Right,
because
the
it's
background.
right. And so of I don't know really any of the other Final Fantasies. I'm gonna be honest, but I do love this story, especially like being in, 2025 and looking at
Hmm.
how corporations have changed our, ecology and our environment and things like that. Like I watched Final Fantasy VII, the remake, get played through
Hmm.
during the pandemic, but I
Right.
fell asleep a lot watching my boyfriend play. And so recently, someone else played it for me and I got to appreciate that game with a whole new person, and it really made me fall in love with the characters even deeper. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, I gotta build Jessie now, because she'd always kind of been in the back of my head.
Sure.
And so it'll be cool because then once I have that costume done, every time I wear it, it'll just be really good memories of sitting on the couch with that person, and sharing that game together.
And it's funny how video games can do that for us, like, or really any like a video game, a movie, even like songs. Like, I'll have something come up on my Spotify, and I'm like, oh man, I remember when sitting, like you like sitting next to this person, or I was in the car doing this. It's funny how that can always bring you right back to a moment.
100%. And like with not being a gamer, I still feel like I love so many video games,
Hmm.
but because I associate them with my cosplay friends, like I see Mega Man and I go, oh, that's Matt and Alex. And oh, I see this game over here. Horizon Zero Dawn,
Hmm.
that's Steph, obviously. And so I get to appreciate this media in a whole different way through them.
And it's like I had this conversation with somebody else over the weekend about how video games now, and I mean, you look at something like Final Fantasy, like it's a remake from 20 however many years ago. I can't do the math in my head, but um, like how just the stories and how now the technology has caught up to tell those stories in such a cinematic way. Like you said, you look at the cutscenes in Final Fantasy, and like if you just chop those all together and put them in a theater, it could be a movie.
Yeah, and the remake was my introduction. Like I went back and watched some clips and I was like, "Oh, oh, it's a good thing I started with the remake, or it just probably wouldn't have hit the same, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And so, from researching before getting into this interview, you do a lot with fantasy, a lot with LARP, with live action role playing. How did that journey start? Because that's a whole nother, like, within cosplay, that's a whole nother world within itself.
Right. So it's kind of split between two things. Um, Before I went to conventions, I was able to go to Renaissance fairs.
Yes.
It started with a local one here in Peoria that no longer exists, unfortunately.
Mm.
But then I got to go to Bristol, and my first weekend of Bristol was RenCon weekend, which
Oh,
is like
wow.
convention theme. Right. So like I joke that Bristol was my first convention, but really, it's not quite the same. But being in that environment and also like I've always had a soft spot for the medievalism side of things, like
Hmm.
swords, armor. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, what's there not to
And
like?
right. And so to get to see people putting like medieval type costumes that didn't necessarily belong in that environment, like tons of Game of Thrones characters. And then I started doing like medieval versions of Wonder Woman, and that was really fun. And so it just kind of spun off from there. And then in the modern dating age where we use Tinder, there
Hmm.
was a day that I swiped on someone because I was like, oh well, that looks like Ren Fair garb. If you wear Ren Fair garb, you're probably into costumes. Maybe we'll hit it off.
Right.
And so we started chatting, and they were like, no, I'm into Belagarth, which is this fast-paced full contact sport. It's
Oh,
there's
wow.
no magic systems. It's not like little taps of a sword. It's
Right.
like I bruise pretty easily, and I bruise pretty regularly in this game. Like it's like football with foam swords. But I was hooked, and to get to bring my cosplay into that has been so fun because not only it's with foam armor, it's great, it's fun, but you have to be so careful about how you're in
Yes.
it. And with this, like we're camping for 3 days at a time. So I
Oh,
have to
wow.
build right. So I have to build costumes that can survive a camping trip and tell my character's story. And that's just like been this whole other challenge that has been so fun, all while I get to like shoot a bow and arrow at my buddies, and then they die and they see me and they know it's me, and I just wave, and it can't be beat.
That is wow. So it's like full contact, like,
Yes, yes.
uh,
And we do have armor in our game as well that adds like an extra hit point, you could say.
oh,
So
okay.
then, it's leather armor, it's not foam, but that's a whole other skill that now I've been able to grow in as a cosplayer. And then, you put all this work into a cosplay, and sometimes when you don't use the right materials, you might get 7 to 10 conventions out of it if you're
Hmm.
lucky. But with leather armor, you're wearing it 3 days every weekend for, 8 to 10 weekends out of the year, depending on how much you want to travel. And so, like, the cost and time payoff is way better, in my opinion. So that's part of why I've pivoted so much into that scene.
No, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I mean, we've all seen or maybe been there, somebody at a con with foam armor or 3D printed and something breaks off or something goes
It's me. I'm that
sideways.
person.
Uh, but like you said with that leather, it's like, yeah, you can rock that for half the year if you want. It's gonna hold up.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
speaking of all things conventions, kind of one of the main reasons we're here to talk today is we've got Illinois Comic Con coming up in Peoria, November 22nd and 23rd, Saturday, Sunday at the Peoria Civic Center. You are going to be one of the cosplay guests, and we're, as of recording time, we're like 3-ish weeks away from the show. What do they have lined up for you? What are you going to be doing for those 2 days over in Peoria?
Well, I get to have a table where whoever wants to come by and say hi can do so. And getting to do that is so fun because, I'll see cosplayers of all ages, and I'll be
Oh
like, no,
yeah.
no, come here. Tell me how you did this. And even though I'm like the guest, I've learned things from 15-year-olds just by asking about that. And so it's just as rewarding for me. So aside from just having a table, I get to do a panel, I believe, and then they'll be judging the costume contest. So just kind of the whole gamut of the guest experience.
Yeah, you'll be very busy that weekend.
Yes.
Also, have you have you done judging before at conventions for contests? Is that that's something you've done before?
Yeah, I got to do Anime AkiCon last
Oh,
year,
awesome.
and yeah, it's that was very fun. They have both a craftsmanship and a like showcase side,
Mhm.
so we kind of get to see, I built this, all the little details, and more the stage presence
Yeah,
performance aspect.
performance.
And then I've done Peoria Con as well. I think I technically only judged 1 year, but that was also really fun. That one's a little bit different because it's not necessarily a craftsmanship contest, so you kind of get to figure out, how to blend both types of costuming that way.
That's awesome. So, what are you looking forward to for judging this time around at Illinois Comic Con?
I mean, kind of the same thing about just having the table, like getting to
Yeah.
see everything up close and flipping over the back. And sometimes you just see techniques or like I don't want to say a hack, but sometimes you see like different uses of materials or things. You're like, oh my God, I never would have thought of that. And so to get up close to
Mhm.
everything and ask all the questions is just it's gonna be great.
It never ceases to amaze me some of the like build books that you see and like the detail in the book, and then how it's talking about the details in the costumes. Like it never ceases to amaze me the talent that and the patience at the time that because I'm not that patient that goes into that. And it's just like you said, like you can learn so much just from flipping through a book of how somebody built something. It's got to be such a cool experience.
It really is. And those bill books are so crucial. Like if you're watching this and you're
Mhm.
thinking about competing or you are competing, please bring a build book because when we're back there deliberating, it can be so nice to flip through and then compare like, oh, this person did two techniques really well.
Mhm.
This person did 12 techniques really well. And if you don't have the time to tell us in judging competition or the judging time, because it can get a little stressful, it can get a little
Mhm.
hectic, your build book gives you the opportunity to write all that out beforehand so nothing gets missed. And then we do take that into consideration when we're judging. So please write down everything, brag about yourself. Like we want to read it. We really do.
Well, I would imagine too, especially some of the costumes that are so detailed and so intricate, like it could be really easy to miss something and you don't necessarily think of it. And then you're flipping through a build book, you're like, oh my God, this actually took 2 weeks and they did it this way, this way, this. Wow, this is a huge part that like we may have glossed over.
Absolutely. Or if someone explains like the origin of a technique, like
Hmm.
that can be really helpful. Like I can look at something and go, oh, that looks really cool. But if they are like, I had to learn this whole process, it's based off this historical thing, but I combined it with this other historical thing. And that's why it's really significant. And it ties in some element of like the character story. Like, oh man, if you can tie like a historical technique to a character story, whoo, that's just like it's cooler and cooler and cooler. But if we don't know that, then it just looks pretty.
Right. So, I mean, that's awesome. That's how you get points with the judges is like going into that level of detail. So, like you said, if you're watching this, don't be afraid to brag away in your build book because it will be appreciated.
Yes, yes.
So, have you decided? I know you're going to be busy that weekend, but have you decided on a cosplay lineup for those 2 days?
Oh man. Well, I love a good excuse to wear my Sailor Strange. And I haven't worn him since like Fan Expo last year.
Oh,
So
wow.
probably that one. He's unbeatable. Um, and then I'm not sure about the second day yet. I'm still thinking on that. I've done so much of my like Belagarth LARP
Mhm.
recruiting at events recently that I'm honestly probably going to take a break from that outfit specifically, and just use the opportunity to get into some cosplays that I haven't worn for a while. Maybe I'll bust out one of my Wonder Womans that I haven't touched in way too long.
It's a perfect time to do it. It's an end of the
It
year
really is.
con. You can kind of get it in one more time before, get this cosplay out one more time before the year ends.
For sure, for sure.
Is this going to be your last con of the year with it being at the end of November?
Probably. I can't imagine what else I would find. With the world being what it is, it can
Mhm.
be a little bit difficult to travel to some of the farther away
Yeah.
ones. Like I would love to go to like a holiday Matsuri some year or something like that. But it's definitely not in the cards this year. So this will probably be my last one. So I'm excited to, go out with a bang for 2025.
Yeah, and the year and the con season on a high note and get it into gear for C2E2 will be here before we know it in the end of March.
Oh man, you're telling me I'm already like, ooh, what are we gonna wear next year? Are we making anything for that? I don't know.
You're like the craft clock starts now. We gotta go.
You're so right.
So, what you've talked about your table, and it's going to be a great place to just kind of connect, talk with people, share tips, share stories. What kind of setup, are you going to have like merch? Are you going to have 8x10s? What kind of setup are you going to have for the table?
I'm still thinking about merch. I've thought about doing like some custom badge ribbons because those seem
Oh, that's
to be
always
real fun.
fun.
But I might do, I'm still on the fence with it being in my backyard. It's so much easier to travel all my big armor
Yeah.
builds over there as opposed to, driving across country. So I'm kind of thinking about doing some sort of theme, but I do know that I'm going to be doing some giveaways of some different things for maybe some newer or younger cosplayers who might be looking for some pieces to elevate a certain costume, or maybe they're missing the final piece for a different costume. Nothing super crazy,
Mhm.
but just some old pieces of mine that have gone a little untouched. I would
Yeah.
love to, pay it forward to our community, because it's just really cool to see who shows up in Peoria in cosplay. As someone who's been doing it in this community for 9 years, and now seeing more and more of the conventions pop up, and the kids that show up, the adults that show up,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, like everybody who shows up just blows my mind. And I'm like, where were you when I was doing this 6 years ago? I'm so glad you're here now. So yeah, all that to say, I'm gonna have some giveaways for, whoever wants to come by and say hi and see if there's something that'll help them with the next build.
That's a great way to start a conversation, like just to draw people in and start conversations too. Like, hey, you're building this, I'm actually doing a giveaway on this. Maybe it'll help finish out that build.
For sure. I would love to help someone bring, their next character to life and keep doing the thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you said, a good way to pay it forward to the community.
Yeah.
So, all right. So outside of being a guest, which I know is going to be, you're going to have quite a lot of your time taken up, but anything in particular you're looking forward to for Illinois Comic Con?
Man, I mean, kind of like the tangent I just went on, like
Yes.
just seeing what people show up. Like we had Anime AkiCon this past weekend, and just oh my gosh, the variety of things that showed up, the quality of things that showed up, you could tell, people were making themselves. It's you never know what's going to be there, and I'm just really excited to see that. Additionally, if I remember correctly, this is the first year for Illinois Comic
Yes.
Con.
Yes, it
And
is.
so it's just awesome to see this kind of community in our area continuing to grow. And so I'm excited to see what a new show brings to the area that's, different from some of the others, and just how it all comes together.
Yeah, it is the first year, and I'm super excited to be part of the media team for the first year. Just
Yeah.
try to help spread the word, try to help, just bring the community in. I think it's going to be a really good weekend down in Peoria.
I think
So,
so too.
so as we're like we were saying earlier, we're kind of wrapping up towards the year here, which it's crazy to think we're recording this and it's like 4 days till Halloween, which is just nuts. Um, cosplayer's favorite day of the year, I'm sure. But yeah, it's crazy to think we're that deep into the year. But with all of that being said, what's in the works for you for next year? Do you have anything cosplay wise, like a big project that you're working on for the end of this year into next year, or any other projects you're thinking of doing?
Yeah. I don't know about projects for next year specifically. I
Hmm.
would love to get that Jesse done. I would
Sure.
love to eventually maybe get some upgrades done for Sailor Strange just to give him, something new, something fresh. I have a long-term slow build project that I'm working on for competitions that kind
Oh,
of
okay.
combines my love for like, excuse me, that combines my love for LARP and the leather armor and the, the historical medievalism and cosplay, but that's probably going to be more of like a 2027 competitive build. And so just kind of, balancing all of those and seeing what gets done in time and trying not to crunch too hard.
Yeah, con crunching can be that can really be something. Yeah, that face looks it all. That can really, and I always tell myself I'm not going to do it, and then it never fails the night before. I'm still charging my cameras and my mics, and I'm like, why did I do this to myself?
Same. Yeah.
So,
No, I relate all too hard.
so if you're watching this, don't do what we do. Just prepare.
Yeah, no, prepare, start now for C2E2, like, take all the time. Because at the end, like, you wanna be happy with what you bring to the convention.
Yes.
And so I've really love seeing kind of some of the I don't want to call us older cosplayers because we're still only like in our 30s, let's be respectful. But now that we've done this for a handful of years, seeing more people go, you know what? I would rather take the time that the costume and the character deserves.
Hmm.
Watching that mentality grow, I think is so healthy. So that really excites me about, growing up in cosplay, so to speak.
I think it's healthy in a lot of ways too, because like we all obviously this is a hobby for everybody, and everyone's got a life outside of this. As much as we try to ignore it, it still comes up and sneaks up on us. But you don't want to take something like this and make it stressful, make it like a deterrent to your mental health. It's supposed to be like a fun type of like so planning will go a long way. It's probably a good life lesson too. Planning will go a long way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think a lot of times it's very easy for us to get that cosplay has the word play in it.
Yes.
So like if you're not having fun, man, like you gotta have fun with it, or you're not gonna want to keep doing it. You're gonna burn out, and then we're gonna lose you, and that's really gonna suck.
Yeah, no, the community keeps growing, which is awesome, and we want it to keep growing. You don't want to lose people to burnout. That's not fun for anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Save the burnout for real life, not for this.
Oh man.
So, well, where can outside of your table at ICC, where can everyone keep up with you and all the fun projects that you're doing?
Yeah, I am Lore Builds on Instagram and Facebook, if people still use Facebook. LOREBUILDS. If you're interested in any of my cosplay photography, I'm also Lore Shoots on Instagram. So yeah, pretty easy to find. And shoot me a message, tell me what you're building, and let's talk shop.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk shop with people. Especially cons only happen so many times a year, but with social media, you can talk shop anytime.
For sure. And it's so fun to, get to meet people and see what they're building and ask different techniques. And if you see anything on my Instagram and you want to know how I did it, please ask me. Don't like hesitate at all. I've learned so much from other people that I was like, oh, maybe if I message them and ask them, and then they're
Hmm.
so nice about it, like, yeah, shoot me a message. Let's talk.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Illinois Comic Con is November 22nd to 23rd. I will have all of Lore's socials that were just mentioned linked in the article and in the YouTube video. And also, if you want to check out what ICC is bringing to Peoria, there's already a huge guest list. There's the competition. There's so many. It's going to be an action-packed 2 days. So info on all of that will be linked too. But thank you for taking the time, and look forward to seeing you in Peoria coming up here in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you there. It's gonna be great.